The Galactic Council had stood for 12,000 cycles. Its marble halls had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, the negotiation of 1,000 treaties, and the careful, deliberate march of progress across the stars. Nothing, in all that time, had prepared them for humanity. I should know. I was there when it started. My name is Voreth Klen, third adjudicator of the Outer Territories, and I have made exactly one catastrophic mistake in my 400-year career. I underestimated a species that still used combustion engines for recreation. Yes, you heard that right. They burn fossil fuels in small metal boxes and drive them in circles for fun. And somehow, we lost to them. But I am getting ahead of myself. It began on a Tuesday. Or at least, that is what the humans called it. We do not divide our time into such arbitrary segments, but apparently, bad things always happen to humans on Tuesdays. They have an entire cultural framework built around this concept. It should have been our first warning. The emergency session was called after the incident at Fornax Station. 3 human vessels had entered restricted space, ignored 14 separate hailing frequencies, bypassed our most sophisticated security grid, and landed on our most secure military academy. Not crashed. Landed. With precision that would make our best pilots weep into their nutrient pouches. Impossible, Commander Thexilor had roared, his throat sacs inflating to twice their normal size. A sure sign of agitation in his species. No one breaches Fornax defenses. No one. The humans did, I had replied, pulling up the security footage. And they brought snacks. The council chamber fell silent. On the screen, 3 humans in mismatched clothing were walking through our academy grounds, eating something they called beef jerky and offering pieces to confused cadets. They appeared to be having a wonderful time. One of them was taking photographs. This is an act of war, Thexilor declared, slamming 3 of his 6 appendages on the council table. The marble cracked. It was expensive marble. Imported from the crystalline moons of Deltaris. He would be paying for that. We must respond with overwhelming force. Perhaps, I suggested, trying to maintain the diplomatic composure my position required, we should ask them why they are here first. The lead human, a female with bright orange hair, impossible coloring that should not exist in nature but somehow did on Earth, stepped forward when we finally established communication. She smiled. Humans smile when they are happy, when they are nervous, when they are lying, and sometimes when they are about to do something incredibly stupid. It is a design flaw in their species that makes them impossible to read. Hi there, she said with altogether too much enthusiasm. I am Captain Roxy Keene of the exploration vessel Lucky Duck. These are my colleagues, engineers Dmitry Volkov and James Park. We are terribly sorry about the whole unauthorized landing thing. We were following a distress beacon. There is no distress beacon, Thexilor growled. Oh, there definitely was, Dmitry said, pulling out a device that looked like it had been assembled from spare parts and optimism. Right here. Clear as day. Standard galactic frequency 379.6. Someone was asking for help. I checked our records, twice, then 3 times. There had been no distress signal. Our systems would have detected it immediately. Unless, that frequency has been dead for 800 cycles, I said slowly. It was used during the Preloran conflict, before modern encryption protocols. Roxy's smile grew wider. So, someone used an old frequency to avoid detection. Clever. Can we talk to your students? I bet one of them knows something. Absolutely not, Thexilor declared. You will surrender your vessel, submit to detention, and await trial for violation of council space. Or, James said, speaking for the dead, first time, you could let us help. Because if someone in your academy is sending secret distress signals using dead frequencies, you have got a much bigger problem than 3 humans who got lost. The council erupted into argument. Half wanted the humans arrested immediately. The other half wanted them arrested and their ship confiscated for study. I wanted to know how they had broken through our defenses. Call it professional curiosity. In the end, we agreed to let them investigate. Supervised, of course. I volunteered for the duty, mostly because I did not trust Thexilor not to shoot them the moment no one was looking. Also, I was curious. Humans have a reputation. They are not the strongest species, not the smartest, not the longest lived. But they are stubborn, and luck follows them around like a loyal pet. Some species pray to gods. Humans pray to gods, knock on wood, throw salt over their shoulders, avoid black cats, and carry rabbit feet. Then they claim they are not superstitious. It is fascinating. The Fornax Academy sprawls across an entire continent on the moon of Kresh. 20,000 cadets from 200 species, all training to serve in the Galactic Defense Fleet. It is prestigious, selective, and supposedly completely secure. Nice place, Roxy said as we walked through the main courtyard. Very clean. Do you guys ever have fun, or is it all marching and saluting? We take military discipline seriously, I replied stiffly. Right, because that always works out well. She stopped walking and looked up at the central tower. Someone is watching us. I followed her gaze. Saw nothing. Where? Third window from the left, 7th floor. They ducked back when I looked. She smiled again. That dangerous smile. Want to bet that is our signal sender? Before I could respond, Dimitri's device started beeping frantically. Got another ping. Same frequency. Coming from. He turned slowly, his device tracking something. The restricted archives. Underground level. No one goes to the restricted archives without explicit authorization, I said, which takes weeks to process. Then someone is breaking your rules, James observed. Seems to be a theme around here. We made our way to the archives, which required 17 different security checks. The humans passed through all of them without issue, which should not have been possible. Their DNA was not in our system. Their retinal patterns were not registered, and yet, every door opened. Your security is broken, Roxy said cheerfully. Like, really broken. The restricted archives contained classified information from dozens of conflicts, ancient weapons, tactical data that could reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. And sitting at a terminal, accessing files that should have been triple encrypted, was a cadet. A young Threxian, maybe 30 cycles old. His scales were pale with fear when we found him. Cadet Voss? I recognized him from the Academy roster. Top of his class. Exemplary record. What are you doing? Trying to stop them, he whispered. I found the files. They are going to erase the Academy. All of us. Everyone. The terminal screen showed classified orders. Signed by Commander Thexilor himself. Plans for a full orbital bombardment of Fornax Academy, scheduled for 48 hours from now. Justification listed as ideological contamination and security risk. I felt my respiratory system constrict. This is impossible. The commander would never. Wouldn't he? Roxy was reading the files, her expression grim. Says here there has been increasing dissent among cadets. Questions about council authority. Debates about expansion policies. Someone decided it was easier to erase the problem than address it. The humans, Voss said suddenly. You brought humans. That is perfect. You have to tell them. Tell them about the child. What child? Dimitri asked. Voss pulled up another file. This one was even more heavily encrypted. It took him 3 tries to crack it, his claws flying over the holographic interface. When the document finally appeared, I wished it hadn't. Project Determination. A classified council initiative to create the perfect soldier. They had been collecting genetic material from the most aggressive, most dangerous species in the galaxy. Splicing genes. Creating something new. Something controllable. Except it wasn't controllable. They made a kid, James said, reading over my shoulder. A designer weapon. And they couldn't control it, so they locked it up. Not locked up, Voss corrected. Frozen. In stasis. In the sub-basement of this academy. They kept it here because if something went wrong, they could destroy the entire facility and claim it was a training accident. Roxy's face had gone very still. Where is this kid now? Still in stasis. But the containment field has been degrading for months. They know it is going to fail. That is why they are going to destroy everything. Voss looked at us with desperate eyes. I sent the distress signals, hoping someone would come. Someone who could help. But the council controls all standard channels. So I used the old frequency. The one from before my time. I didn't know if anyone would even hear it. We heard it, Roxy said quietly. And we are going to fix this. You cannot, I protested. This is a council matter, internal politics. You are civilians. She looked at me then, and her eyes were hard. You were going to kill 20,000 kids to cover up a mistake. That stopped being politics the moment you wrote the order. Before I could argue, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Red lights flashed. The voice of Commander Thexilor echoed through every speaker. Attention all personnel. The humans have been declared hostile. Lethal force is authorized. All cadets are to evacuate to safe zones immediately. This is not a drill. Well, Dmitri said, checking his device. That escalated quickly. He moved up the timeline. Voss said, his voice shaking. The bombardment. It is not in 48 hours anymore. It is in 6 hours. To stop a military commander with an entire fleet at his disposal. To save an academy full of cadets who probably thought we were the enemy now. And to deal with whatever genetic nightmare was sleeping in the basement. Right, Roxy said, cracking her knuckles. A human gesture that signifies preparation for conflict. Here is what we are going to do. Dmitri, you get into their communications array and broadcast everything we found. Every file, every order, every dirty secret. Make it impossible for them to bury this. On it, he replied, already running toward the nearest access terminal. James, you take Voss and start evacuating cadets. Get them to the ships, as many as you can. I don't care if you have to steal every vessel in the hangar. Understood. They moved toward the exit. And you, she turned to me, are coming with me to the basement. Because someone needs to wake up that kid and make sure they do not become the monster the council tried to create. This is insane, I protested. You do not have authorization. You do not have weapons. You do not even have a plan beyond hoping things work out. She smiled that terrifying human smile again. Vorath, buddy, let me tell you something about humans. We do not need authorization. We do not fight fair. And our plans are 50% improvisation and 50% spite. It has gotten us this far. That only adds up to 100%. Exactly. She started walking toward the sub-basement access. Now come on. We have got a honey badger to wake up. A what? I will explain on the way. Short version. It is a small earth creature that does not care what it is supposed to do, refuses to die, and will fight anything. Even things 10 times its size. We named our most aggressive Special Forces division after them. If the council wanted to make a super soldier, they probably used human DNA. Which means that kid downstairs is going to be one very angry honey badger. As we descended into the depths of Fornax Academy, past security checkpoints that opened with barely a whisper, past empty corridors that should have been full of guards, I realized something terrifying. The humans were not lucky. They were not improvising. They had walked into our most secure facility, exposed our darkest secret, and turned the entire situation on its head in less than 3 hours. And Roxy? She had been smiling the whole time. Not because she was happy, but because she knew exactly how this would end. The sub-basement was cold. Colder than space. The kind of cold that seeps into your bones and stays there. Emergency lighting cast everything in shades of blue and shadow. And in the center of the chamber, surrounded by failing containment fields and blinking warning lights, was a stasis pod. Inside, a child slept. Maybe 10 cycles old in human years. Small, fragile looking, dark hair, peaceful expression, completely terrifying. That is their weapon? I whispered. No, Roxy said softly, approaching the pod. That is their victim. The weapon is what we do next. She placed her hand on the pod's control panel, hesitated. If I am wrong about this, a lot of people are going to die. And if you are right, a lot of people are still going to die. Just different people. She pressed the release sequence. But at least this kid gets a choice. That is more than the council gave them. The stasis field collapsed with a sound like breaking glass. The child's eyes opened. And in that moment, as Commander Thexilor's fleet approached and the countdown to bombardment continued its inexorable march toward zero, I understood what humans really were. Not warriors, not explorers, not lucky fools stumbling through the galaxy. They were the species that looked at impossible odds, insurmountable challenges, and certain doom, and said one word, no. The child sat up, looked at Roxy, then at me, then smiled. A human smile, because of course they had used human DNA. "Hi," the child said in a voice that sounded like it had not been used in years. "Did someone finally come to let me out?" Roxy knelt beside the pod. "Yeah, kid. We came. And we are going to make sure no one ever locks you up again. But first, I need to know something. What is your name?" "What?" "They called me Project 7. A pause. "But I like the name Maya. I heard it once, before they put me to sleep. It sounded nice." "Maya it is." Roxy extended her hand. "I am Captain Keene. That grumpy-looking alien is Vorath. He is having a really bad day. We all are, actually. The people who made you? They are about to blow up this entire moon, which means we need to stop them. Think you can help?" Maya climbed out of the pod, stretched. I realized with growing horror that this was not just a child. The way she moved, the way her eyes tracked everything in the room. The council had not just created a soldier. They had created something far worse. A human with enhancements. "I can help," Maya said simply. "But first, can I have some of that beef jerky? I am really hungry." The thing about waking up a genetically enhanced child who had been frozen for 3 years is that nobody writes a manual for it. The council certainly had not bothered. They had just shoved Maya into a tube, set the timer to indefinite, and apparently decided that mass murder was an acceptable contingency plan. Humans have a word for this kind of thinking. They call it stupidity. Maya ate half of Roxy's beef jerky supply in under 2 minutes. Then she asked for water. Then she asked why the building was shaking. "That would be the orbital cannons charging up," I explained, checking my data pad. The countdown now read 4 hours and 17 minutes. "Commander Thexalor has decided to erase this facility and everyone in it." "Because of me?" Maya asked. She did not sound upset, just curious. Another terrifying human trait. They ask questions about their own potential death with the same tone others use to discuss weather patterns. "Partially because of you," Roxy confirmed. "Mostly because cadets started questioning authority and thinking for themselves. Apparently that is dangerous." "It is," Maya said thoughtfully, "for people who want to stay in charge without earning it." The floor shook again. Harder this time. My communicator crackled with Dimitri's voice. "Roxy, we have a problem. Multiple problems. An entire fleet of problems." "Details, Dimitri." "I got into their communication system like you asked. Broadcast all the files across every council frequency. The good news? Everyone knows about Project Determination now. The bad news? Vexilor does not care. He accelerated the bombardment. We have less than 4 hours, and he has brought in reinforcements. 12 warships in high orbit. All weapons hot." Roxy muttered something in Russian. I did not understand the words, but the tone was universal. "Can you jam their targeting systems?" "For maybe 20 minutes. 30 if I break several laws of physics. Which, to be fair, I am willing to try." "Do it." "James, what is your status?" James' voice came through next, slightly breathless. "Got about 3,000 cadets loaded onto transport ships. Problem is, none of these kids know how to fly. And the hangar doors are sealed. Security override from command level." "Voss?" Roxy asked. The young Threxian cadet spoke up. "I can bypass the hangar doors from here. Give me 10 minutes. You have 5. Make it work." Roxy turned to Maya and me. "We need a new plan. Preferably one that does not involve getting vaporized." Maya tilted her head. She had been doing that a lot. Processing information at speeds that should not be possible. More genetic modifications, probably. "How many people are in the academy right now?" "Approximately 18,000, I replied, "including staff and instructors." "And how many can we evacuate in 4 hours?" "Maybe half, if we are lucky. Then we need to make sure the bombardment does not happen." Maya walked to the chamber's main terminal, placed her small hand on the interface. The screen flickered. Data scrolled past faster than I could read. They put a lot of things in my head when they made me. Combat tactics, weapons systems, ship engineering. All kinds of useful information they thought would make me a better weapon. The terminal screen changed. Now it displayed the orbital defense grid surrounding Fornax. Every satellite. Every weapons platform. Every single piece of military hardware floating above our heads. They forgot something, though, Maya continued. They gave me access codes, administrative clearance, because I was supposed to be their perfect soldier, following orders, never questioning, never thinking for myself. She smiled. That same dangerous smile Roxy had been using all day. They were really bad at predicting some behavior. What are you doing? I asked, though part of me already knew the answer. Taking control of the orbital defense grid, turning their weapons around. If Thexilor wants to bombard this academy, he is going to have to go through his own security system first. Her fingers danced across the holographic interface. This will buy us time, maybe 3 hours. Enough to evacuate everyone. They will override you, I protested. The moment they realize what you are doing, let them try. Maya's eyes glowed faintly. Another modification. Enhanced neural processing. I am faster. The building stopped shaking. My communicator exploded with confused chatter. Military frequencies all talking at once. Someone shouting about system malfunctions. Someone else screaming that the defense grid had locked them out. And then Thexilor's voice, cold and furious. This is Commander Thexilor to all Council forces. The artificial intelligence has been activated. Project 7 is awake and hostile. All units are authorized to use maximum force. Destroy the Academy immediately. Orbital bombardment is approved. Collateral damage is acceptable. Did he just call that child an artificial intelligence? Roxy asked incredulously. He cannot admit they used human DNA. I realized. That would mean acknowledging humans as equals. Possibly superior in some ways. The Council would never accept it. So instead, he is going to kill everyone and blame it on a rogue computer program. Roxy pulled out a small device, her communicator. Change of plans. We are not evacuating. We are going to war. With what army? I demanded. We have 3 humans, 1 cadet, and a child. We have an entire academy full of cadets who just learned their own commander wants them dead, Roxy corrected. And we have Maya, who apparently controls every weapons system in orbit. James, how many of those cadets want to fight back? There was a pause. Then James laughed. It was not a happy sound. All of them, Captain. Every single one. You should see them. I have got cadets from 70 different species down here, arming themselves with whatever they can find, training weapons, maintenance tools. One Krellian kid grabbed a mop and I genuinely think he could kill someone with it. Outstanding. Voss, open those hangar doors. But we are not leaving. We are bringing the fight to them. The next 3 hours were chaos. Beautiful, terrifying, impossible chaos. Dmitri hacked into the Academy's communication array and broadcast everything across the entire sector. Not just the files about Project Determination. Everything. Every corrupt decision. Every covered-up incident. Every lie the Council had told for the last 1,000 cycles. By the time he finished, half the galaxy knew exactly what Fornax Academy was and why it needed to be destroyed. Public opinion turned faster than a supernova. Suddenly, the Council was not protecting civilization. They were murdering children to hide their mistakes. James organized the cadets into defensive positions. 20,000 students with barely any combat experience, facing down a military fleet. On paper, it was suicide. In practice, it was something else entirely. Because these cadets had been trained by the best instructors in the galaxy, and now those instructors were fighting alongside them. Voss did more than open the hangar doors. He unlocked every weapons locker, activated every defense turret, and gave command clearance to anyone who asked. The Academy transformed from a school into a fortress in under an hour. Maya sat in the command center, her small hands controlling weapon systems designed for trained operators. She moved satellites into position, redirected power flows, created overlapping fields of fire that would make any approaching ship think twice. And Roxy? She stood in the main courtyard with a commandeered plasma rifle and addressed the entire academy over the public announcement system. Attention, everyone. My name is Captain Roxy Keene and I am about to give you the worst motivational speech in history. Your government wants you dead. Your commander has 12 warships in orbit preparing to turn this moon into dust. You have 3 options. 1. Surrender and die. 2. Run and probably still die because those ships will hunt you down. 3. Fight back and maybe, just maybe, survive this. She paused. Let that sink in. Now, I know what you are thinking. We are outnumbered. We are outgunned. We have no chance. And you are absolutely right. We probably don't have a chance. But here is the thing about humans. We are really, really bad at accepting impossible odds. We look at certain death and we get stubborn, spiteful even. We decide that if we are going down, we are taking everyone with us. Another pause. I could see cadets listening, watching, waiting. So here is my question for all of you. Are you going to die quietly? Are you going to let some corrupt commander erase you because you asked uncomfortable questions? Or are you going to show the entire galaxy that you don't go down easy? The roar that followed could probably be heard from orbit. Vexilor made his move exactly 3 hours and 42 minutes after Maya woke up. 12 warships descended from high orbit, weapons primed, targeting solutions locked. They flew directly into a defensive grid that had been turned against them. Maya had repositioned every weapons satellite, every defense platform, every automated turret. The moment those ships entered range, she opened fire. Not to destroy, to disable. She targeted engines, weapon systems, communication arrays, surgical strikes that left the ships crippled but intact. I am not killing anyone, she said quietly when I asked why she did not just blow them out of space. They are following orders, bad orders. That does not mean they deserve to die. This, I realized, was what made humans dangerous. Not their weapons, not their tactics, their capacity for mercy even in the middle of battle. 3 ships managed to break through the defensive perimeter. They launched bombardment missiles, enough firepower to crack the moon's surface. Voss detected them immediately. Incoming ordnance, multiple warheads, impact in 90 seconds. I see them, Maya said. Her fingers moved faster. The defense grid redirected. Point defense lasers tracked the missiles. 90% were destroyed in the first volley. The remaining 10% got through. And that was when the cadets proved exactly why the council had been afraid of them. Students from 100 different species manned the academy's ground-based weapons. They had been trained for this, not in actual combat, but in simulations, in theory. Now theory became practice. They shot down 7 missiles with anti-air cannons. 2 more were destroyed by instructors piloting maintenance drones as improvised fighters. The last missile got within 500 meters before a Krellian cadet, the same one James had mentioned with the mop, climbed onto the roof of the eastern barracks and threw a maintenance drone directly into its path. The explosion was spectacular. The cadet survived because Krellians have redundant organs and apparently zero sense of self-preservation. Did that kid just throw a drone at a missile? Dmitri asked over the communication channel. Yep, James confirmed. And it worked. I love this job. Thexilor's voice came through every speaker. He sounded frantic now. Desperate. This is impossible. You cannot hold out. I have reinforcements arriving within the hour. Surrender now, and I will ensure quick deaths. Counteroffer, Roxy replied, broadcasting on all frequencies. You surrender. Right now. Order your ships to stand down. Face trial for attempted genocide. And maybe, just maybe, you get to live. You are in no position to make demands. Wrong. I have control of your defense grid. I have 20,000 very angry cadets. I have broadcast evidence of your crimes across the entire sector. And I have Maya. Roxy looked at the child. Show him. Maya smiled. Then she did something that should have been impossible. She activated the Academy's warp engines. Every major facility has emergency warp capability, a last resort evacuation measure. The engines are designed to move the entire structure to a safe location if catastrophic failure is imminent. They had never been tested. They were never supposed to be used. Maya used them. The entire academy, every building, every courtyard, every hangar, shifted 3 light years in the span of 5 seconds. We appeared in neutral space, far from Thexilor's fleet, far from council jurisdiction, and directly in front of the largest gathering of independent vessels I had ever seen. Hundreds of ships, thousands, representing species from across the galaxy. All of them had been listening to Dimitri's broadcasts. All of them had seen the files. And apparently, all of them had decided that the council had gone too far. "This is Captain Helena Frost of the Independent Coalition vessel Defiant," a new voice announced. "Human, naturally. We have been monitoring the situation. Commander Thexilor, you are hereby ordered to surrender yourself and your fleet for trial. Failure to comply will result in, well, let us just say there are a lot of us and we are all really annoyed." Silence. Then, slowly, one by one, Thexilor's ships powered down their weapons. The commander himself surrendered 6 hours later. He tried to escape in an impersonal craft. Maya tracked him, disabled his engines, and a coalition ship picked him up somewhere near the fourth moon of Brentar. He is still awaiting trial. The evidence against him is extensive. I should know. I helped compile it. The aftermath took months to sort out. The council underwent massive restructuring. Half the leadership resigned. The other half was removed by vote. New elections were held, real ones, with actual choices. Fornax Academy reopened under new management. Voss became the youngest instructor in history, teaching advanced security systems and creative rule-breaking. The cadets who fought that day are considered heroes. Several of them have started teaching classes on ethical leadership and questioning authority. Maya stayed with Roxy. Legally, the adoption process was a nightmare. Humans adopting a genetically modified child created by an alien government, but somehow, they made it work. Humans are good at that, making impossible things work through sheer stubbornness. I see them occasionally. They travel the galaxy now, taking odd jobs, exploring strange places, getting into trouble. Maya is learning what it means to be human, not the genetic modifications, the other parts, the important parts, kindness, curiosity, that peculiar human certainty that things can always be better. Last week, they stopped by my office. Maya had grown, maybe 12 cycles old now, still small, still dangerous, but smiling more. "We wanted to thank you," Roxy said, "for helping, for taking a chance on us. You did all the work," I protested. "I just tried not to get killed. You chose to help when you could have walked away. That matters." She handed me a package. "We got you something." Inside was a small statue, carved from earth wood. A creature with a long body, small legs, and a fierce expression. "A honey badger," Maya explained. "Because you didn't care what the rules said. You did what was right." They left before I could respond, off to another adventure. Another impossible situation that they would somehow turn in their favor. I keep the statue on my desk, a reminder of the day I learned that humans are not lucky. They are not foolish. They are not stumbling through the galaxy hoping for the best. They are the species that wakes up in a universe full of older, stronger, more advanced civilizations and decides they belong here anyway. They look at established power, structures, and ask why. They see injustice and refuse to accept it. They find a child locked in a basement and decide that child deserves a future. The galaxy is changing. The council still exists, but it is different now. More accountable, more careful. Because everyone knows what happens when you push too far. When you forget that power requires responsibility, someone will broadcast your secrets. Someone will organize resistance. And somewhere, somehow, a human will show up with a ridiculous plan that should never work. And it will. Because that is what humans do. They look at impossible odds and whisper one word. No. The council had declared erase the academy. 20,000 cadets were supposed to die. A child was meant to stay frozen forever. The truth was supposed to stay buried. Instead, a child woke up. A honey badger opened her eyes, and everything changed. I received a message this morning. From Maya. Just 3 words. "Thanks for believing. I have it saved." A reminder that sometimes the right choice is not the legal one, not the safe one, not the one that follows protocol. Sometimes the right choice is trusting a human with orange hair, a handful of beef jerky, and a smile that promises chaos. And sometimes that is exactly what the galaxy needs.